التعليم والتعلم. الذكاء الاصطناعي ليس مجرد فكرة خيالية من المستقبل، بل هو واقع ملموس يحمل في طياته إمكانيات غير محدودة لتطوير عملية التعلم ولجعلها أكثر تخصصاً وتفاعلاً وفعالية. وفي هذا السياق لا يمكننا تجاهل حقيقة أن التكنولوجيا أصبحت جزءاً أساسياً من بيئتنا التعليمية. أن إدخال الذكاء الاصطناعي في الفصول الدراسية يمكن أن يسهم في تحويل التعليم من مجرد عملية تقليدية تعتمد على تلقين المعلومات إلى تجربة تفاعلية ديناميكية تستند إلى تحليل البيانات والتكيف مع احتياجات كل طالب بشكل فردي. وبهذا يمكن للتعليم أن يصبح أكثر إنصافاً وشمولية، حيث يتمكن كل طالب من التعلم بالوتيرة التي تناسبه وبالطريقة التي تلبي احتياجاته الفريدة. ومن هنا نجد أن أهمية الذكاء الاصطناعي في التعليم لا تكمن في تحسين الكفاءة فقط، بل أيضاً في تعزيز فرص التعلم للجميع. إضافة إلى ذلك، فإن الذكاء الاصطناعي يمتلك القدرة على توفير بيانات دقيقة حول أداء الطلبة وتقدمهم، مما يسهم في تحسين جودة التعليم وتطوير المناهج التعليمية. فباستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي يمكن للمعلمين والإداريين الحصول على رؤى أعمق حول مستوى الطلاب وتحديد نقاط القوة والضعف لديهم. ويمكن لهذه الرؤى أن تساعد في توجيه الجهود التعليمية بشكل أفضل وتخصيص الوقت والموارد حيث تكون الحاجة أكبر، مما يؤدي إلى تحسين النتائج التعليمية بشكل عام. لقد أظهرت دراسة أجرتها مؤسسة بيرسون للتعليم أن استخدام أدوات الذكاء الاصطناعي يمكن أن يسهم في تحسين نتائج الطلبة بنسبة تصل إلى 20%، وذلك من خلال تقديم توصيات مخصصة وتوفير محتوى تعليمي يتناسب مع احتياجات كل طالب بشكل فريد. ولكن مع كل هذه الفرص الواعدة لابد أن ندرك أن استخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي في التعليم يتطلب منا استعدادا وتطويرا مستمرا للمعلمين والمناهج الدراسية على حد سواء. أن المعلم هو الركيزة الأساسية في العملية التعليمية، وهو الذي يشكل جسر العبور بين التكنولوجيا والطالب. لذلك من الضروري أن يحصل المعلمون على التدريب اللازم لفهم كيفية استخدام أدوات الذكاء الاصطناعي بشكل فعال، وكيفية دمجها في استراتيجياتهم التعليمية بطريقة تعزز من تعلم الطلاب وتفاعلهم. إن التدريب ليس فقط على الجانب التقني، بل يجب أن يمتد ليشمل الجانب البيداغوجي والتعليمي والأخلاقي، بحيث يكون المعلم قادراً على استخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي بطريقة تساهم في تعزيز التعلم والتفكير النقدي والإبداع. وفي هذا السياق نجد أن تطوير المناهج الدراسية يتطلب إعادة نظر شاملة في طريقة تصميمها وهيكليتها. المناهج يجب أن تكون مرنة ومتجددة، قادرة على التكيف مع التغيرات السريعة التي تحدث في عالم التكنولوجيا. يجب أن تتضمن المناهج مهارات القرن ال21، مثل التفكير النقدي وحل المشكلات والتعلم الذاتي والعمل الجماعي واستخدام التكنولوجيا بذكاء. إن دمج هذه المهارات في المناهج التعليمية سيساعد الطلاب على الاستعداد لمستقبل مليء بالتحديات والفرص، ويضمن أنهم يمتلكون القدرة على التكيف مع التغيرات السريعة والاستفادة منها. ولكن ونحن نقترب من مناقشة هذا الموضوع الهام، لابد أن نكون على وعي بأن الذكاء الاصطناعي ليس حلاً سحرياً لكل التحديات التي يواجهها التعليم اليوم، بل هو أداة يمكن أن تكون لها تأثيرات إيجابية كبيرة إذا تم استخدامها بحكمة ووعي. ولهذا السبب من المهم أن نكون على دراية بالمخاطر المحتملة لاستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي، مثل قضايا الخصوصية والأمان وأخلاقيات الاستخدام. يجب أن نضع سياسات واضحة وموجهة لضمان استخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي بطرق تتوافق مع القيم الإنسانية وتحافظ على حقوق الأفراد. ومن هنا يجب أن ندرك أهمية تعزيز الثقافة الرقمية في المدارس وبين الطلاب والمعلمين على حد سواء. الذكاء الاصطناعي ليس مجرد برنامج أو تطبيق، بل هو ثقافة ومنهجية تفكير جديدة، ويجب أن يكون استخدامه جزءاً من رؤية أوسع لتعزيز التفكير الابتكاري والتعلم مدى الحياة. وفي هذا السياق يأتي دور المركز الإقليمي للتخطيط التربوي، حيث يلتزم بنشر المعرفة واستكشاف المستجدات التربوية كأحد أهم محاور عمله. يعمل المركز على تعزيز وتطوير السياسات التعليمية من خلال الأبحاث والدراسات التي تعكس أحدث الاتجاهات العالمية في التعليم، وذلك بهدف تحسين جودة العملية التعليمية على المستويات الوطنية والإقليمية. وانطلاقا من هذا الالتزام ينظم المركز هذه الندوة لإلقاء الضوء على دور الذكاء الاصطناعي في التعليم واستشراف التأثيرات المستقبلية لهذه التقنية المتقدمة. ويسعى المركز من خلال هذه الندوات إلى تحفيز النقاش العلمي والمساهمة في وضع تصورات واضحة لكيفية دمج التكنولوجيا الحديثة بطرق تخدم مصلحة الطالب والمجتمع ككل. والمركز له العديد من المساهمات والتعاونات مع منظمة اليونسكو فيما يتعلق بالأدلة الخاصة باستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي في التعليم. وينفذ كذلك المركز حاليا دراسة متخصصة حول استخدامات الذكاء الاصطناعي في محاور المنظومة التعليمية في دول مجلس التعاون، وذلك من خلال حرصه على تشجيع البحوث والدراسات التي تسهم في فهم أفضل لتأثير الذكاء الاصطناعي على التعليم. ومن هذا المنطلق فإننا يجب أن نكون منفتحين على التجارب الجديدة ونستفيد من الدروس المستفادة من جميع أنحاء العالم، لأن التعليم هو أحد المجالات التي يجب أن تكون عالمية في تأثيرها وتطبيقاتها. كما يجب أن نعمل على خلق بيئة تعليمية تشجع على الابتكار وتعزز من قيمة البحث العلمي، بحيث نتمكن من تطوير حلول تعليمية قائمة على الأدلة تسهم في تحسين مخرجات التعليم وتلبية احتياجات المجتمع بشكل أفضل. وأخيرا وفي ختام كلمتي الافتتاحية أود أن أؤكد على أن التقدم التكنولوجي والذكاء الاصطناعي هما أهم أدوات العصر الحديث اللتان يمكن أن تساهما بشكل كبير في تطوير العملية التعليمية، ويجب أن نكون على استعداد للتكيف مع هذه المتغيرات والاستفادة منها بأقصى قدر ممكن لتحقيق مستقبل أفضل لأبنائنا وللمجتمع. فالذكاء الاصطناعي لا يجب أن ينظر إليه على أنه تهديد أو تحدٍ، بل يجب أن نراه كفرصة رائعة لتحسين حياتنا وتعليمنا وتحقيق نقلة نوعية في مستوى التعليم وجودته. أشكركم جميعا على حضوركم، وأكرر الشكر لخبرائنا المختصين الذين سوف يثرون بمعلوماتهم التي سوف يطرحونها خلال هذه الأوراق، ونتطلع إلى مناقشات ثرية ومثمرة خلال هذه الندوة. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. والآن أترككم مع مديرة هذه الندوة الدكتورة باتريسيا، خبيرتنا المتخصصة في المناهج، والتي سوف تكون أيضا لها إضافة من خلال إدارتها لهذه الندوة، إضافة للأوراق العلمية وإضافة للتوصيات. فلتتفضل مشكورة دكتور باتريشيا. It's your... I think you are mute, دكتورة.
It is true. And we are talking about technology. Thank you so much, Ms. Mahra. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, colleagues, and participants. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to today's seminar on implementation of artificial intelligence products in K-12 classrooms, analyzing the impact on students and educators, hosted by the Regional Center for Educational Planning. This seminar brings together a diverse group of policymakers, academics, school leaders, educators, and parents to discuss the evolving role of artificial intelligence in education, particularly within the K-12 setting in the Arab States and Gulf Cooperation Council GCC countries. The goal of today's first session is to examine how AI is shaping education policies, classroom practices, and future learning environments. As AI continues to revolutionize education globally, its integrations in schools opens up a new opportunity for enhancing learning, streamlining administrative tasks, and supporting educators. However, alongside these opportunities come important questions regarding the ethical issue of AI, equitable access, and the overall impact on both students and teachers, as you know. Today's session will explore these issues in depth with special focus on the specific needs and contexts of the Arab world and GCC countries. Our discussions today will address a range of topics, from the practical implementation of AI tools to the broader ethical and equity considerations that come with their use. We aim to explore how we can ensure that AI supports education in ways that are inclusive, responsible, and beneficial for all. I am honored to moderate the first session on ethical and equity considerations, where we will hear from two eminent speakers who are leading voices in the field of AI in education. Before I introduce the speakers for today, I encourage all of you to participate actively in the Q&A session that will follow the two presentations. I'm looking forward to a productive and very insightful seminar for sure. And I'm going to move to introduce our first speaker, who is Mr. Miao Fengshun, the Chief of the Unit for Technology and Artificial Intelligence in Education at UNESCO headquarters. Mr. Miao has an extensive background in AI and education and has led some of UNESCO's most influential initiatives in this field, including the development of global frameworks and guidelines on AI competences for students and educators. He is also a key figure in organizing international forums on AI and education, and his contributions have been pivotal in shaping global discourse on the use of technology in learning. Mr. Miao will speak on human-centered use of AI in education, policies, and competences, a topic that highlights the need for AI to be used in ways that prioritize human development, responsibility, and inclusivity. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Miao Fengshun to share his insights. Mr. Fengshun, the floor is yours.
And thank you very much for the introduction. And it's really an honor to be here to be with you, distinguished participants. I would like to start to congratulate the centers and also Dr. Mahara on the success in mobilizing a large number of participants. I can see that we are now somehow having almost 1,000 participants. It's really congratulations on this success. So I'm honored to be here to share some ideas and also what UNESCO is doing in this field. So I will focus on three perspectives, if possible. I will quickly share UNESCO's resources in this field, and then I will discuss with you about some basic policy frameworks on AI education, and maybe some basic ideas we need to build. And the third one, I will focus on AI competency framework for students and teachers. We just released 2 weeks ago. First, what UNESCO is doing and what kind of resources are available from our side. So we have been planning and implementing the work in the field of AI in education quite a few years ago, quite earlier, as early as in 2017. And then we organized the first conference on international, we call it International Conference on AI and Education in 2019. And we also developed and adopted the first consensus on AI and education. We call Beijing Consensus in 2019. It's quite earlier, and so far, almost all the points in this consensus are still valid. You can make a reference to that, and it's also one of the most viewed consultant documents in this field from UNESCO. And since then, we organized 4 years conference and forum continuously in 2020, 2021, 2022. And we are focusing on different topics. In 2023, we did not organize this international conference or forum, but we organized very quickly ministers' roundtable on generative AI in education. And we gathered somehow 50 ministers to talk about what could be the challenge and also how we should regulate the generative AI for education. And in 2023, we also launched the Digital Learning Week, the first edition of Digital Learning Week, which was rebranded from the 10-year-long Mobile Learning Week. And this year, just 2 weeks ago, we organized the second edition of the Digital Learning Week. And we have been organizing 5 regional seminars on AI competency under the Source Cooperation Funds of UNESCO. We organized the first one for Arabic region and especially Gulf states in April this year. So that's what we are doing in terms of the global convening of policy dialogue. At the same time, we also focus on different areas and different, I would like to see action lines in terms of UNESCO's functions and also our support for member states that cover AI and education policy. We're also watching the impact of emerging AI, including generative AI, and also examine the applications for education and help member states to take some policy response. At the same time, as I said, we have been developing AI competency framework for students and for teachers. and we launched them. We completed them and launched them 2 weeks ago. So that's the main focus areas. And at the same time, we're also planning a publication on AI and the futures of learning. So that's the main work through this conference and these publications. We have reached more than 120 countries directly. It's not including the countries that downloaded the document and use them in the planning of their policy documents. But through the conference and forum, we have reached more than 100 ministers, including more than 10,000 participants from 120 countries. With this, I just want to highlight a few publications. Around 2 years ago, UNESCO started to have a statistic on the top 50 publications in terms of consultations and also download. We have among these top 50 so far, we have 6. Which is the largest number in terms of the contribution to the top 50. And among them, even in the top 10, we have 3. So actually, we have more or less 6 publications, but we are making them available in different languages. So some of especially the Spanish language, are also very welcomed and recognized. They are downloaded by a large number of audience. So you can see in the top 10, we have 3. And among the top 50, we have 6. And we just released these 2 AI competency framework for students and AI competency framework for teachers. I will share this PowerPoint with the center, with Dr. Mahara. If you get the PowerPoint, you can scan the QR code. You can download them free of charge. You can download all the PDF. And I would like to highlight that all these publications are available in Arabic. We are making these 2 new publications available in Arabic, so you don't need to worry about your English knowledge. You can read them very easily. And at the same time, over the years, we have been collecting the best practice call for proposals. So far, I calculate we have collected more than 1,000 use cases on AI in education. And we review them, we select speakers for our Digital Learning Week, Mobile Learning Week, International Conference on AI education. At the same time, we also document some of them. I'm very, I want to highlight again, and I was honored by cooperating with the Mahara, the center, and your government in drafting and publishing these case studies on AI in the UAE's curriculum. So it was published last year. And you feel free to download it and read it. But at the same time, based on our observation about over 1,000 cases in this field, so I would like to share some ideas. I think if we are talking about the human-centered AI education, to me, the most important thing is to build the basics. Why I said this? Because from the AI company, they spend billions of US dollar, tens of thousands, AI talent in scoping the problem for AI system, defining the needs for data and algorithm, and they have the deepest thought on the algorithms for the AI system, and then they build the architecture, they buy the computing resources, and build the data center in a way that they are building the best possible AI systems. But at the same time, from the education sector, we are not putting so much effort. We are not putting so much funds to planning to understand what AI means for us. We are lack of the basics. We need to study to really build the basics, because most of the policymakers, practitioners, researchers from the education side is to copy what the media are talking about and just shout out what the media is. Oh, wow, wonderful, fantastic, we should try, students should try, teachers should try. Why they should try? What's the purpose? We need to challenge us. So we need to build the basic. Based on our publication, I propose this very basic policy framework to all the member states, to all the policymakers without exception. So first, we need to have a destination. I think we need to have set up the goal is to really build the digital humanism and have a human-centered use of AI education. But for any country, we need to consider 4 key elements for policy. First, to regulate AI ethics and to validate the trustworthy and safe and, if possible, climate-friendly tools for education before we push teachers to use them. And we have a mapping. We found that only somehow 20 countries have regulations on AI ethics. Even UNESCO released the recommendations on the ethics of AI. And we have an urgency to really promote the regulations on ethics of AI. Second, to promote the design, not only the use of existing tools for inclusive education, but to design the inclusive AI system and tools for education for the people with a disability and for the marginalized groups. Because the commercial return of this kind of tools is very low, have a longer cycle. Not so many AI companies would like to invest in this. So for this, the government need to invest in this. But according to our mapping, it's around 5 countries really are developing funds and developing programs in promoting this. I think these 5 countries, including UAE, but country need to do more. The third one is really to build the AI competency for teachers and students, because if you and me and listen to the policymakers, presidents, prime ministers talk, everybody is talking about that. It's very important to develop a teacher and student AI competency. But according to our mapping, only 7 countries have a national AI framework or program on AI for teachers, and around 15 countries have the publicly, or we call it government-endorsed AI curriculum, including UAE. So we need to have but in the Gulf states, not every Gulf states have this kind of AI competency or AI curriculum for students. Once again, it's imperative for all the government to consider this. The third one is really to use AI to promote the student-centered pedagogy. So far, the pedagogy used in the AI tools are not student-centered. Even there's a commercial claim saying that AI helped enable personalized learning is wrong. It's really a commercial claim. It's a commercial hype. We need to debunk the hype and really find the truth. I will talk this later. So with this, all the countries need to follow this roadmap to have a general data protection law. So far, 1/3 of the country do not have, and we should have a national strategy on AI. So far, only almost 1/3 country have this, and we should have regulation on ethics of AI. So far, less than 30 countries, and we should adjust the copyright law in response to the challenge of ChatGPT, generative AI. Not so many countries are doing it, only very few countries. Regulations on AI safety, then more and more countries coming out, so far around 10 countries. And we should have a national AI competency framework or program. And so far, as we said, we discovered 7 countries covering UAE, also I think Korea. We have a speaker from Korea. And at the same time, we should review the impact on learning outcome, curriculum, and assessment. I think other speakers will talk about this. At the same time, we should build the basic methodology for examining the appropriateness of using AI for education. If possible, we should use human-machine interaction or human-machine collaboration model. We need to analyze what do we mean by human. We can divide human into individual human, our individual behavior, our habits, our action, and we also have the human interaction, interpersonal interaction, but also the interaction within our society and in different society, including the religious societies. And we all are living in sovereign states. We need to follow the laws and regulations, and we need to consider our relationship between human and the environment and the ecosystem, and think of what's the knowledge in evolution without technology, and what will be the knowledge evolution with technology, and what will be the requirement for the new skills. But beyond the skill, what are the social values we are building? What are the social norms we need to build in the society? And then we need to review what do we mean by AI from the life cycle of the AI. I summarized some 4 key steps of the life cycle of AI, including the production and the storage of data, access, the right to the access to the data access, and who are controlling the data, and how AI companies, the designers are using data and algorithm to build AI system to support the decision making and also prediction, and what kind of human AI interface we are using. If we use this model, we can review, for example, using ChatGPT, you can find the data source, you can find the distribution of the language of the data used to train ChatGPT, to train the AI system, and you can review whether the methods the AI systems are using to generate outputs are explainable or not, or you can also review whether the AI understand the real world or not, or they can understand our problem or not. According to our examination, they don't understand the real world, they don't understand the real world challenge. They cannot provide really useful solutions to our challenge in our real world. Imagine, you can just simply imagine, generative AI have been using so much, but in our daily life, how much we are using it to really solve our problem, for example, the food, water, safety, and the supply of education, how much we are using, not so much. And then we need to have very basic thought on the AI pedagogy. Think of the learning environment. First, as we said, we need to regulate the AI to be adopted and used on large scale in education, and to think of the transparency, explainability of this AI system, and then whether we are putting the human controlled principle, and whether we are really exercising human accountable principle in this AI system, and also in the use of AI in our classroom. And what exactly the AI we are using is in the learning management system. Are we using AI agent, teachers agent, student agents, or we are using AI coaching? Are we using AI in assessment? Are we using AI to generate a curricula or lesson plan? Or are we using generative AI? We need to really unveil them, review them, and then to check the ethical principle, and then consider the cost. We have a speaker from Korea here. Since almost 2 years, the Korean government, I think more than 1.5 years, Korean government started to promote the use of generative AI in its national digital textbook. Because in Korea, the digital textbook had been designed and used for almost 2 decades. Now they want to embed generative AI in the digital textbook. Last year, this time in September, I was in Korea. All the top leaders in Korea are talking about the prime minister, vice prime minister, minister of education. And I think including the president are talking about the use of ChatGPT, generative AI in digital textbook. But later I heard that it was challenged by the public because they calculate the cost of using generative AI in digital textbook almost 10 times of the digital textbook without a generative AI. Who pay for this 10 times of cost? No country is so rich that we don't need to consider the cost of the education system. And with this, we need to really go a little bit deeper into what's the current AI pedagogy. I call it artificial or intelligent pedagogy. It's basically most of the people are talking, oh, AI personalized learning is wrong, because so far it's only to profiling the content, as to profile the learners, and then to push the content that the student have not memorized yet. And it's to promote the memorization of factual knowledge. It's the pedagogy we have been criticized for decades. Now suddenly with AI, it become a modern or fancy pedagogy. We call it, some people call it the AI innovating pedagogy. It's wrong. It's only so far reinforced the memorization of factual knowledge, nothing innovative with the pedagogy. We need to plan what kind of pedagogy we want. And then so far, many of the AI is used somehow to replace the task unit of teachers. But we need to think how we can motivate learners, because it's teacher who in the classroom who are really motivating and inspiring learner, because AI will not motivate learner. If the learner do not have the motivation, AI will not. motivate how we can really use AI to promote teacher-student AI interaction, this triangular teaching and pedagogical cycle, and to think of the embodied human AI pedagogy. And for the content is the same. It's not only to have the profiling of content, but we need to think how AI can be used to enable open learning space. For the learning management assessment is the same. We need to think deeper about the high order AI pedagogy. Based on this, the last one will be the AI competency framework for student and learner. So for this, we have some overall goals. For the AI competency for students, we encourage that all the country should consider how you can prepare responsible and creative AI citizens. I even call it AI citizenship, which means we are entering the human society in the AI era. If we can put it simple, it's a kind of AI citizen, AI society. We need to consider in the AI society what we want to prepare. With this, I'm using this one to really describe what AI means for us. Plato 3,000 years ago put forth this allegory to describe the Zen world, but actually it's quite similar now. We are not changing so much after 3,000 years. We know that we have AI. This is more or less the AI algorithm, and we project using the algorithm to project the data on the wall, on the screen. Before it's on the wall, now on the screen, and we have the output of ChatGPT AI. And we are blocked by the platform. We are living in the digital world. Actually, we are encaped in the digital world. And we also have some data workers that are working on $2, $3 per hour per day to clean and label the data, or even not clean and label, but how to manage or pre-process the data. And the Plato wanted us to go out from this cave to go to the real world, to learn from the real world. I think that's the essence of the education of any country. We want our children to learn, to interact with the real world and learn from the real world. But my thinking is that what sort of AI competency can help free us from this AI cave to the real world, to pursue the human value and the intellectual illumination. And but we need to also consider the real world is not an existing world waiting for us. The real world, especially in the upcoming AI era, to me is a world to build. The world is not so safe waiting for us. The world is not so friendly waiting for us. We have climate change, we have AI safety, we have ethics of AI. So we need to ask ourselves, what sort of human society do we want to build? And what sort of human agency do we need to prepare our students, our next generation for this designed human society in the AI era? So we summarize in this AI competency framework, we think, every our kids should become a critical AI citizen, not AI addicts. And they should become responsible users of AI, not the distributor of deep fakes, disinformation, misinformation. They should be the co-creator of AI tools. They should not waiting for OpenAI and other AI companies to develop AI tools and selling to them. They should participate in the co-creation of AI tools. And hopefully, they should be the leader of the next generation of AI. And with this, we have this framework, we have the principle, framework, specification, and implementation strategy. So we ask quite a lot of questions. What kind of human value we want to uphold? What are the key ethical principles we want all the students to learn? And what is the transferable AI knowledge and skills we should develop? Not only the platform bonded or brand bonded AI skills. And if you want students to learn about AI system design, what they should learn. So with this, we developed this two-dimension framework with the 4 aspects: human-centered mindset, ethics, basic AI techniques and application, and AI system design, and cross-cut with 3 levels: understand, apply, and create. We have 12 competency blocks. So, and then we have the specification. I will not go to the detail. And we define many, more than 100 key terms. We're not only talking about it because when we developed this AI competence framework, we did not find any organization rigorously define this. We have to define them. And we put forth this, and then we want all the country to explore the best possible AI curriculum system to consider, how we can put AI competency as the cornerstone of all the AI strategy. No matter what kind of strategy you develop, if the student do not understand, the citizen do not understand, no AI regulations, no AI strategy, no AI policy can be enforced as imagined. So, and then we want to promote the interdisciplinary core AI curriculum, but also to build cluster AI curriculum. And the third one, to have future-proofing AI domains as a carrier of a curriculum, and to tailor spiral curriculum sequence, across different grade levels, different ages, and then to think of the enabling AI-rich learning environment. And most importantly, I want to highlight, we need to promote the professionalization of AI teachers, which means the teachers who will teaching AI and facilitating the learning of AI, for example, to teaching AI system design. You cannot ask a language teacher and a physics teacher or social study teacher to teach that. And then to think of the cohort-based pedagogical activity. So I think I want to finish here because we also have the framework for teachers. As a teacher will be competence will be based on the consideration of teacher-student AI triangular relationship. And we need to think how we can protect teachers' right and define teachers' new rules and competency. So I just want to flash. We also have a framework. We ask a very fundamental question. We build this two-dimension framework for teachers with the 5 aspects, 3 level. We have 15 competency blocks, and we also have a specification. So I think I have used up my time. So I want to stop here, and I will share my PowerPoint with the organizer, and hopefully we can share with all the participants. So here's my email account and also my LinkedIn. You can search my name. You can find my LinkedIn account. I'm a quite active user of LinkedIn. I look forward to communicating with some of you through email or also through LinkedIn account. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention. And I wish you a successful seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miao, for your insightful presentation about the efforts that you and UNESCO have been doing to develop frameworks and information that will help us and guide us in the use of AI in education. And now, because I'm mindful of our time, I'm going to move to introduce our second speaker. And I'm pleased to introduce Professor Mutlu Kukurova, a professor of learning and artificial intelligence at the University College London. Professor Kukurovka work focuses on human AI complementary in education, with a strong emphasis on preparing students for a future that requires more than just routine cognitive skills. His research explores how AI can enhance learning outcomes and help educators better understand the dynamics of AI-assisted learning environments. In addition to his academic leadership, Professor Kukurova serves as the editor-in-chief of the British Journal of Educational Technology, which many of us know, and is a recognized expert for various international organizations, including UNESCO and the European Commission. Today, he will present a systematic review on the impact of AI on learning outcomes in K-12 education. Let's welcome Professor Kukurova to the virtual stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Distinguished participants, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. Many thanks for this kind invitation and a brilliant introduction. I have been myself following the leadership of the Regional Center for Educational Planning in the region, and Dr. Mehra's work, and myself, and the reports coming out of this center. So it's an absolute pleasure to be part of this event and talk a little bit about a very specific task that we were assigned to, which was What do we know so far with regards to AI's impact on learning outcomes in K-12 education? And we were asked to complete a systematic review, and today I will be presenting some of the insights from this review. In the beginning, as part of the task that we were allocated to, we were given certain questions that are related to what evidence currently exists regarding the efficacy of AI-driven personalized learning approaches, which case studies are worth highlighting, what long-term considerations are related to AI's integrations, particularly with regards to students' critical thinking skills, creativity, and problem-solving kind of higher-order thinking skills, and what kind of AI products have an impact on students' engagement and motivation. So in order to be able to answer these questions, we started undertaking a systematic literature review as an academic research group. We conducted this review based on the PRISMA guidelines, following a process proposed by Kitchener and Charters, which is the established rigorous methodology for systematic reviews. This starts with the identification of key words, identification of relevant libraries and academic literatures, doing an intensive search of the literature to be able to identify relevant papers, reviewing and assessing the identified papers' inclusion or exclusion within the review work, and specifically analyzing, coding, and synthesizing the results out of these. Now, I will be presenting some of these interpretations of the findings from the literature. More specifically, we highlighted the research that has taken within the last 2 decades, and we have specifically looked at K-12 settings with impact evaluations on students' learning outcomes. So this work and the search work was essentially undertaken in June 2024 this year. I'm not going to get into the details of the specific search words, but this will all be part of an academic report that will be also published, I think, by the center that we will be submitting to our detailed methodology there. Just to give some insights, based on the search in 3 established academic databases, we initially have identified 3,000, almost 3,000 papers, 2,925 papers. When we removed the duplicates, there were about 2,000 papers left. And when we started doing the inclusion and exclusion criteria, specifically looking at the rigor of these studies and the extent to which they are related to the particular research questions that we are posing, we ended up having 82 academic papers. And out of these 82 papers, we finally included 31 of them in the final synthesis that I will be presenting today. Maybe I can quickly go through some of the metadata. I think it's really interesting. As expected, you can see that the number of papers that are published in the literature that relates to the impact evaluations are increasing within the last 2 years. I think there is a significantly more amount of interest. Of course, perhaps it is not really surprising that most of the papers are coming from the United States, followed by China, and of course, a few papers from the region like United Arab Emirates-based research studies. If we look at the subjects that have been studied with the impact of AI in education, there are not really many surprises there. The language education and mathematics education, particularly algebra topic, and science are the most frequently studied subjects. And it's really interesting that if we look at the number of papers that are published on the impact evaluations, most papers are actually in the secondary school contexts within the K-12, whereas very few studies are looking at primary school context. So there's a significant gap there for research to be advanced. If you look at what kind of AI use cases are implemented in K-12 impact studies, the most of these are associated with how do we provide adapted content and adaptive feedback as part of the intelligent tutoring systems or adaptive learning platforms. And more recently, there is an increase in the number of papers that are looking at AI-generated feedback, chatbot interactions, and learning materials that are created with generative AI. In terms of what kind of teacher tasks these tools are aiming to support, you can see that most of the work is still looking at a tutor's capability of adjusting the difficulty of what next task should be assigned to a student. If we look at what specific learning outcomes were used as dependent variables in the evaluations, most of the studies have been looking at domain knowledge, which is how much knowledge was gained after their interaction with an AI system. And more specifically, these were, again, I mentioned in the contents of physics, maths, and more broadly language content acquisition. And if you look at the methodological approaches, how the impact was evaluated, you can see that most of the papers were using a pre-test and post-test test of students, oftentimes relatively short-term interactions. So students are taking a pre-AI interaction knowledge test. They do some interactions with an AI system, and afterwards their knowledge is measured with a post-test. In terms of the quality and the types of assessments, I think it is really important to highlight that there are still very few number of large-scale randomized control trial evaluations, whereas most of the studies have been using what we are calling in the field quasi-experimental studies. So these studies do not really have a random assignment in the control group and experimental group, but trying to map the strengths of the control group and experimental group ad hoc, so trying to create equal strengths groups. But of course, the randomization helps a lot with regards to the control of confounding factors, which means that these quasi-experimental studies might actually fall to make causal arguments with regards to the impact. And if you look at the effect sizes that are provided, which shows statistically how big the impact is, you can see that in many of the studies, unfortunately, the effect size is not really provided, which is, I think, a significant limitation of the literature. But you can see that when they are reported, they tend to be large or medium size effects, which is a quite positive sign. Now, another question that was posed to us to have a look at what specific case studies are worth highlighting. And here, we didn't really come up with particular company names or the links to the tools, but we actually looked at in what specific applications AI were used, and we were trying to summarize these application studies. Of course, as I mentioned, the most frequent use is the recommendation systems and intelligent tutoring systems. I'm sure many people would be familiar with these. These systems are aiming to provide adapted content and feedback based on the interactions of students real time. So these intelligent tutoring systems have the purpose of serving adaptive content, purpose of serving real-time feedback and recommendations. They have the purpose of providing scalable individual level differentiation of the content provision. And most of the examples are providing instant error correction. Of course, there are some advantages and disadvantages of these tools, which will be reported in the final report that we will be publishing. But what we are focusing here is that when these kind of implementations are used, what is the impact on the learning outcomes? And it is really interesting to observe that such intelligent tutoring systems, when implemented well, they can indeed make a significant impact on various learning outcomes. And these learning outcomes results oftentimes seem to be superior in terms of human tutor teaching to one-to cohort, so one tutor teaching to 100 students, and they also seem to be superior in terms of one tutor teaching to a group of students. But these intelligent tutoring systems, current evidence indicates that they are inferior to an expert human tutor teaching to one-to-one to another human student. So they are good, but they are not good enough to potentially be as good as an expert human tutor. Another implementation case study in the literature is using the natural language processing and learning support through dialogue as part of virtual agents. So here's an example from the literature. It is a system called Guru, which is a virtual agent teaching biochemical catalysts to secondary school students. And in the impact evaluation study, the researchers show that the human tutoring did not statistically significantly differ to the AI tutoring with this approach of the virtual agent explaining ideas in biochemistry, and the effect size was large. It is really interesting because in this particular study, there was a delayed post-test. So after the intervention completed, the researchers took a few weeks off. And after this a few weeks, they did another post-test evaluation. And they showed that the impact was actually even bigger for people to retain knowledge after this delayed test, post-test knowledge evaluation. Another important case study is the use of natural language processing, but not the virtual agent teaching to a student, but the student teaching to a virtual agent. And here is an example from the United States, which was implemented in 2 private schools as part of an RCT. And the results indicated that the students' conceptual gains were statistically significantly higher when they were teaching to a virtual agent compared to their classroom learning condition. But it is interesting that there was no statistically significant difference in terms of procedural knowledge. So what kind of knowledge is good when we are using AI agents is also an important question to ask. Another important application that is emerging in the literature is the use of AI for feedback generation. So here is an example of a study where the researchers used generative AI to create cognitive and affective feedback. And they showed statistically significant positive effect on students' motivation for learning because of the encouragements were provided with the AI generated content. But this was a very small scale study. And only 3 days intervention with the 45 number of students participating. So it's a very small impact evaluation to make any kind of generalizable claims out of this. Another interesting emerging AI application is the use of AI-generated synthetic
Arsenic
media.
is incredibly toxic
I will
for centuries until
not have time to go through these, but here's an example of an entirely AI-generated synthetic media delivering the content of teaching material. And when this was compared to a human professor video recording, there was no statistically significant difference in the learning gains between the 2 conditions. So AI-generated synthetic media, if the content is the same, can deliver same amount of knowledge to a human recorded video. One really important point to highlight here is that in terms of the pedagogy, this is a direct instruction pedagogy, so which is a very traditional way of teaching content. It's not really a pedagogical innovation as my colleague Feng Chun early on pointed out as well. Another emerging set of examples are looking at the chatbot implementation. So you would be all familiar with these increased use of chatbots in education. And I put here only one example where students were allowed to interact with a chatbot for 2 weeks before their in-class lectures. And the results indicated that those students who were allowed to interact with the chatbot for 2 weeks compared to those students who were just given books and traditional resources, there was a statistically significant more learning gains in the experimental group when they interacted with the chatbot with a medium effect size. Now, it is again important to highlight here that chatbots is not simply about giving the opportunity for people to interact with these chatbots. There are so many factors influencing their effectiveness, both in terms of how the content is aligned with the curriculum, but also skills that are associated with the students' characteristics. You know, how much do they have the self-regulated skills to be able to interact with these tools, how much they are motivated to interact with these chatbots, how much technological skills do they have to use them effectively. All of these will have a significant impact. And another example of the increased use is associated with engaging AI as part of game-based learning environments. And here is a study that looked at the comparison of AI embedded game-based learning environment, which provided adaptive learning content in language acquisition. And the results show that these kind of adaptive content can lead to more statistically significant knowledge gains compared to non-adaptive game-based learning environments with a small effect size. There is a growing number of studies looking at AI's potential impact on emotional, motivational, and metacognitive and social learning outcomes. You know, there are studies looking at using AI as a learning companion for emotional engagement, for instance, looking at motivational strategies as part of gamification, looking at the social dimensions, for instance, using AI agents as metacognitive agents to monitor and regulate students' collaborative learning processes in peer tutoring. But in our evaluation study, we did not really find any robust impact evaluation on students' higher order thinking skills like collaboration, communication, creativity, or critical thinking, or collaborative problem solving. So there's a significant gap there to be addressed. An important issue emerging in the literature is the potential over-reliance on AI with students' interaction with AI agents. So there are a couple of studies that I want to highlight with regards to this. One is within the context of peer feedback provision. So here, the colleagues studied with about 1,625 students across 10 courses. So that's the large-scale experimental evaluation study in which they looked at when students are providing peer feedback to other students, how much of an effect AI collaboration brings in. And of course, not surprisingly, when students are given the AI support, they can actually provide better feedback to other peers, which was a good sign. But interesting finding for me was that when the AI interaction was taken off, students' capability of giving peer feedback has dropped significantly, which essentially means that students were good in this task of peer feedback only when AI was there, but when AI was taken off as support, students' original capability of giving peer feedback to other students has statistically significantly dropped, which raises significant concerns. There's another study which I think technically a little bit problematic, methodologically not as robust as the first study that I mentioned, but that indicates that when students are getting support from tools like GPT-4, this improves their performance in the final task, but in the long term, their capabilities worsen off compared to the condition when they had never accessed to AI. So there's a significant concern with regards to over AI dependence there. I would like to wrap up because I was only given 20 minutes and I don't want to be disrespectful and take other colleagues' time here with a few key insights here. Perhaps it becomes quite clear when you look at the existing impact evaluations in the literature that a lot of the impact evaluations are actually highly dependent upon socio-technical issues. And these issues include system-level issues like the teacher's workload or their community support or the leadership buy-in or the technological infrastructure and the content alignment. But there are also very significant issues that relate to the fact that when these experimental studies are left to the teachers without a kind of researcher support in the experimental condition, the impact somehow disappears because teachers often lack the capabilities, knowledge, competencies, and confidence to deliver the fidelity of the use of AI in their practice, which highlights the importance of AI competencies of teachers. And my colleague Feng Chun also summarized the recent report published from UNESCO, which I think is extremely important. So key insights as my last slide. I would like to perhaps start by saying that evaluation of AI's impact on learning outcomes in our systematic literature review actually has highlighted that it has strong potential for enhancing learning outcomes in K-12 education. But when we look at the evidence in detail, it becomes quite clear that the outcomes vary substantially across teachers and across schools and across regions. So this is really important because many people expect that the use of advanced AI technologies, say as part of the chatbots or as part of the intelligent tutoring systems, will somehow substitute for human teaching and reduce the influence of human teachers on student outcomes. But the studies very clearly show that this is not the case. And actually, most of the existing studies indicate that there are significant implementation issues that are associated to fidelity, teacher preparedness, content alignment, and administrative support that is needed when AI is integrated in educational context. There is a very nice study in the review that we have identified from the United States that shows the fidelity of the AI system that they were using in school was up to 2% met with regards to the fidelity benchmarks that they were putting forward. So out of 100 implementations, only 2 of them were at the expected level of fidelity to deliver the expected learning outcome. So that's a really interesting finding. And it also becomes quite clear based on the literature review that when AI is used as part of a larger learning experience, then these kind of studies actually presents greater opportunities to improve learning outcomes rather than any kind of replacing goals. Cognitive tutor evaluation study in our literature review was very interesting because the impact has only emerged when the individualized AI system support was taken as part of the 40% of the classroom time, and the other 60% of the curriculum time were actually enhanced by teachers taking ownership and leadership on the delivery of other curricular activities. So to finalize, the question that we were posed, whether there is an evidence to show in the literature with regards to the impact on students' learning outcomes in K-12 contexts. And I think this question is way too broad to be answered. Of course, based on the evidence, the broad answer is yes, but it depends on a variety of ecosystem conditions, design features, instructional strategies, teachers' knowledge and confidence, as well as on the specific pedagogical features of AI, which means that we have a long way to go before we see any kind of change in our education systems. Thank you very much for the time allocated to me to share my insights.
Thank you so much, Professor Mutlu, for your insightful presentation, and we are looking forward to reading your report in this systematic literature review that you did. Because I'm mindful of the time, but still I want to open the floor for questions and answers. I have here a couple of questions addressed to you, and I apologize to the many attendees that we cannot present your questions to our guest speakers, all of your questions to our guest speakers. Nevertheless, let's move forward and at least share 2 of your questions with Professor Mutlu. So several questions mention the effects, positive and negative effects that AI can have on students and teachers in the schools. Would you like to share some of your thoughts with us about this?
Yes, so I think as I was trying to highlight in my talk, the extent to which AI will have a positive impact is not dependent only on how good the AI system is. There are so many ecosystem level and there are so many individual teacher level factors that influence the extent to which we will observe a positive impact. So if a group of researchers go into a couple of schools to deliver the facilitation of how these AI technologies can be used in a way that is well aligned with the curriculum, well aligned with the pedagogical tasks, well aligned with the goals of the institution, we observe positive impact. But if these kind of facilitation and fidelity support is not there, so when we just give the tool to the teachers, it's very difficult for an individual teacher to be able to make these technologies work on their own. Therefore, we observe negative impact of the use of AI in educational settings.
Thank you so much. During your research and during your readings, did you find any reliable sources that can be used by educators in their classes?
Of course, I think many of the studies that we have identified that shows high impact with regards to the AI use cases are actually also providing some insights with regards to how particular AI interventions can be used in teaching and learning practices. For instance, I have given the example of Carnegie Learning, which is an intelligent tutoring system to deliver maths and algebra in K-12 contexts. So this particular platform comes with a set of guidelines to the practitioners and encouraging practitioners to implement these technologies in a particular manner. For instance, there's a strong emphasis on the fact that these technologies can only work to deliver impact on particular learning outcomes that relates to knowledge acquisition, which is only a small part of what we are trying to deliver in our everyday education systems. Education is not only about learning, memorizing content, improving conceptual understanding. That's a small part of a teacher's practice. So oftentimes these systems are actually coming up with suggestions on when and how and if a particular AI technology should be used and when it should not be used. And I think these are extremely important guidelines. And expertise of a teacher and educator should never be underestimated. It is all about how do we integrate into an everyday life of a teacher and expertise of a teacher rather than thinking about these AI solutions as a whole package replacement.
For sure, for sure. And this is an ongoing debate, as we all know. It doesn't look like, but it's still relatively new, although, it's moving very fast. So we have, this perception of something that is not only new, but is moving so fast that sometimes we don't even catch up on time. Thank you so much for your insightful comments. I will incentivize our participants to engage with our key speakers after the session today, so you can continue this conversation with them. And apologies again if I haven't mentioned your question to our guest panelists. So now I'm going to move to the second half of this session. And I hope you are finding this seminar as engaging, as insightful as I am. It's a privilege to moderate again this second session. And now we are going to delve into a key aspect of AI integration in K-12 classrooms, which is innovative teaching strategies and resources. Many of us who are attending this session today are looking forward to hearing about these innovative teaching strategies. And as many of you have mentioned in your comments, also the resources that are so important for educators. As artificial intelligence technology continues to evolve, it's transforming not only the way we teach, but also the way we develop professionally as educators, as you know. This session will focus on how AI can empower educators, support personalized learning, and offer innovative solutions to teaching challenges, which so many of us educators are facing inside our classrooms. AI has the potential to redefine the educational landscape, as you know, and with it, the roles of teachers are expanding and evolving. And as our last panelist mentioned, not replacing as educators, but our role as educators is evolving for sure. Today, we are also very fortunate for this second session to have two distinguished speakers who will provide valuable insights into how AI can be effectively integrated into teacher training and professional development, as well as its role in fostering personalized learning for students. Again, I encourage everyone to participate in the discussions following the presentations. Please write your questions on the Q&A chat box. And now, our first speaker for the second session is Dr. Mega Shang, Professor of Professional Development for Educators at Athabasca University in Canada, where I have many friends, and where he also serves as the Associate Dean of Research and Innovation at the Faculty of Science and Technology. Dr. Shang has a distinguished academic career, contributing extensively to the fields of educational technology and AI in education. He holds several editorial roles in high-regarded journals and has been recognized globally for his research, including being awarded the Distinguished Researcher Award from the Asia-Pacific Society on Computers in Education in 2022. Congratulations, Professor. As we say over here, mabruk to you. Dr. Shang's expertise in AI education and professional development makes him uniquely qualified to speak on today's topic, which is AI-related training and professional development for educators. His vast experience, both as a scholar and a leader in educational technology, provides him with a unique perspective on how AI can transform the professional development landscape for educators worldwide. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Mega Shang.
Sorry, thank you so much. I hope you can see my slides right now, and it is my honor and pleasure to have this opportunity to share some of the our thoughts and observations about professional development for teachers. So in this talk, I will not following the traditional one. So basically, I will try to answer the questions that the centers has, and then if we can see any further details, I will go through that too. So my name is Micah Zhang, and I'm coming from Athabasca University, and right now I would like to start with some questions. So we do have some questions regarding how we prepare teachers in this AI-related era, or how to use, what kind of AI resources and tools they can use, and so on. So basically, the question can be classified into three different kind of categories. So I use different colors to let you know what the kind of category a question belongs to. So I would say the first three questions, they are more about how we address teachers' resistance or doubts, and also how can we making sure that they have proper opportunities to use AI tools and resources. The second part of the question actually is a very difficult one, which is how can we have equitable access to AI-related training and resources when people, they are living in different socio-economic background and even geographic region. And the last two questions, they are more about how can we support the teachers so they can be ready, and how can educational institutions institution, they can do something for making sure that their teachers can adopt the AI-related system, software, and other things. So now let's starting from the first two questions. The first question is, how can we address the potential resistance or you can say doubt or hesitancy about the educator toward using AI in their class or teaching? So the most important thing is you need to know what is AI. So you don't need to know their theory. You don't need to know a very complex idea or algorithm behind the scene. You can understand what the kind of AI system is using. For example, it's trying to get the data about your students, what kind of courses they have taken, what kind of performance, what kind of questions they cannot really answer, and then mapping to your course material and finding which part of the course or concept that they don't understand, so the AI system can help your students. As well as there are many questions, including one of the questions I saw on the Q&A about whether or not we can trust the AI. So basically, you need to understand that right now when we are talking about AI, actually the general public's idea about AI, in fact, is more about generative AI rather than our traditional AI in natural language processing, rule-based system. It is more about neural networks, machine learning, and something like that. So you need to understand why the first speakers will say that sometimes generative AI, they don't understand realistic or really understand the semantic meaning, because we do know some kind of trade-off or black box situation when we apply neural networks. So in that case, if you can know what exactly AI is doing for very basic, then it may clear some kind of your doubts. However, the other thing is, when you know generative AI or AI system, now the problem is you don't know how to use it for teaching, or you don't know how to really take advantage from that to reduce your workload. So that is something we should provide you. Not using AI will increasing your workload, but actually if you adopt that, it can reduce your workload. So how can we do that? If we can provide you this kind of idea, that will be nice. The other problem or issue, major issue, is teachers always have a kind of concern about whether or not my students actually is not really writing the assignment. Are they using generative AI or other tools to create the assignments? Yes, so that is for sure a very important issue. On the other hand, you also need to consider this issue actually is long exist, right? Because even we don't have a generative AI or ChatGPT or chatbots in the past, students, they may still hire someone else to do their homework. Why you don't know? So this actually is existing situation, but the good thing is, compared to another human being you hire to do work for you, actually, we may be able to differentiate the human and the generative AI's work. So that is something we call online detector. And one of them is one of our work, which is also super forensic. When we consider this kind of system, we may say which kind of result you want to have. The first one is, do you want your online detector or detector can differentiate students' work from AI's work? Yes, of course, that is our true positive. However, How about if some of your students writing their homework by themselves, but you say, no, your homework actually is written by ChatGPT or generative AI? Probably not good, right? So in that case, you may consider you wanted to making sure that the false positive is 0, which means you will not false accuse saying someone you are using generative AI rather than writing your homework by yourself. On the other hand, we have another value or a kind of measurement which you call recall. So which means what happens if students, they are really using generative AI to help them to do their homework while you cannot detect? This is kind of cheating, but you didn't catch that. So do you want to emphasize false negative? You want to making sure that the false negative becomes 0. So that is what we call recall. So in your heart, which major, precision or recall, you will consider that is most important for you? I need to tell you that for me, I will say I don't want to incorrect label anyone. So for me, I will say precision is more important than recall. I don't mind to not catch someone using any kind of tools to help them to do the homework, but I don't want to false accuse anyone that actually they are doing their homework by themselves. So in that case, actually, we have many online detectors, and also like our authorship forensic, they can actually get, for example, 0.96, almost 100% precision rate, 98 precision rate, 97 precision rate, and so on. So basically that is doable, and there are many research as well as online detectors for free that you can use. The second question is, what kind of AI tools and resources you can use? The first one definitely is, everyone know, the large language model, like the OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and the Cloud AI. Some people ask in the Q&A saying which one is better. Fortunately, some people, they have done some kind of a benchmark and testing for you, so you can see that, of course, here this result is coming from OpenAI, so they say their GPT-4o is the best. On the other hand, you can also consider that even in their result, you can take a look at the Gemini here, which is in orange. Actually, Gemini is better than what the OpenAI has for the GPT 3.5 earlier, which is large cheaper than GPT-4o. So that is something you can consider. If you use Gemini, Gemini is almost a kind of a free service unless you use more than their limited rate. On the other hand, prompt engineering will be very important when you are using AI tool and resources. So I would suggest teachers, you can consider to take a lesson or two about how to make a prompt engineering prompt better. So prompt is something like you are talking to someone else, but you are not in the same channel. So how can you making sure that the other guy or lady can really understand your question or understand what you want him or her to help? So that is prompt engineering. On the other hand, we have also called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation tools. So you can take a look at the generation quality here. So there are also many different models. You can also see even for the GPT-4, here is the GPT-4, and we have other models which can get more. So what is RAG? RAG is not just using what we call large language model to interact with you, but also interact with you based on the materials you provide. So as a teacher, you may not want your students to talk to a chatbot or AI system, and the AI system give them wrong answer or give them some answer which you don't teach in the class, right? So that is something we can use RAG, because in that case, you can making sure that students, when they are interacting with AI system, they can always get something related to the course content or course materials you are using. Unfortunately, you can also see that for multilingual situation, even the best mockingbird, they are not really good. Don't even mention about GPT-4 and other result. So there are many tools for RAG. For example, GPT Trainer looks like this. You can upload all your material, course materials, and then students, they can start asking questions. Or you can use Vectara. Vectara is a cheaper service which provides some kind of a higher limitation. So which means you can almost upload like 200 documents without reaching that limit. So people, you can use that for free. And you can see that you upload some kind of document, like 200 documents, and then you can start asking questions, and this kind of summarization, which we call automatic task summarization service, can help you to summarize everything, including the citation, based on what you uploaded. And there are more, like Allen Institute for AI, there is Semantic Scholar, which you don't need to upload anything, just to use that as Google. And we have Research Rabbit. Research Rabbit also allow you to upload things, and then you can find their connection by the visualizing way. So you can click here, click that, you can find what kind of important factor or authors or other terms, and so on. On the other hand, we can use online detectors. So there are so many online detectors. Most of them, they are free. So you can consider to use. So our next question is, how can AI support the teachers? So that's our two parts. One is adaptive learning, personalization learning, and the other one is prompt engineering. I don't have too much
Dr.
time
Shang?
to talk. Yes.
We lost you for a minute. Please continue.
Okay, yeah. So so basically, I don't have too much time to talk about prompt engineering, but just want you to know that personalized learning and adaptive learning provide users different things. Personalized means that they can provide you service or learning content based on your needs. But adaptive learning means when they are providing those kind of learning activities or learning contents, they can adapt to the situation right now you are. For example, you only have 1 month to finish your course. Then we should try to get you passed, not get you 100 marks. So we can provide you most important content. So now the second part of the question, which is very difficult to answer. You know that most of the AI system or tools, actually, they are heavily rely on computing resources and the internet. Because if you don't have a very good computing power device, then they need to use internet to use cloud service. However, we do know that you can purchase a good one if you have money. However, we have low-income families, they cannot afford that. On the other hand, even when you provide them the device, if they don't have internet service or they cannot afford the internet access, the plan, then that is another problem. So I will talk about how to solve this maybe later in the next part of the questions. So the last part of the question actually is about support, how educational institution and our ministry they can support our teachers to develop their professional skill set for using AI tools and service and resources. So the first one is educational institution, how universities or organization, they can support their teachers, or schools, they can support their teachers. The first thing, I just want to echo my first comment or plan, which is trying to making sure that you can allow teachers to know what is AI. So you can give them, you can have the tutorial for them. The second one is, we all know that there are so many things, tools, they're out there, just like I mentioned. So you can have a hands-on workshop to allow to hire some kind of people, they are good in using certain tools, and then teach teachers how to use them. And then, of course, the lecture and the practice about how to do proper prompts. And the other thing is, if you have AI chatbot or automatic test summarization, how teachers they can use, and you can have the training program for them. On the other hand, for the ministry, actually there are two major things you should consider to do first. The first one is, you need to supporting the extracurricular activities and community program on AI education, to making sure that we can addressing the social economics issue, so everyone they won't have an equality AI literacy. On the other hand, we also need to consider to have an initiative on some kind of providing affordable internet service. So in that case, users, teachers, they can really use AI related service and tools without problem. Besides these two, actually, we needed to consider how the AI tools and the system can be incorporating into the teaching and the assessment. So which kind of AI tools can be used in teaching, which kind of AI tools or resource can be used for assessing your students. We do know that RAG and prompt engineering can making sure that teachers, they can create some kind of content. For example, every semester they can have the students' question and their answer compiled together, and then provide the generative AI with RAG and prompt engineer's help to create a new, for example, course Q&A, course frequent asked question, or some kind of important notes for students, something like that. So if we can use generative AI plus RAG plus prompt engineering, then we can produce, recreate teaching and learning materials very quickly based on our experience last semester. And we also needed to consider to have a pilot to use chatbot, which can provide a real-time support for learners, even in the midnight when teachers, they are sleeping, when other students, they are not online, students or teachers, they can still get help. On the other hand, the final one actually is something contradictory. Because teacher, we need to have a policy on AI regarding whether or not we allow teachers to use AI tools to generate or to create the course content or teaching material or planning teaching learning activities. On the other hand, do we allow students to use? And if we allow students use, students should also have a very clear guideline saying that you need to ask before you start to use. Now, the problem is, if you don't allow students to use, and can we really know, can we really identify whether or not the students, they are still using, just like a kind of a cheating? So that is something we may need to consider. Some universities actually already decided to not use AI detector tools due to they are not trusting about their precision, recall, or accuracy rate. So we need to think about this because these three things actually they are a kind of controversial, and sometimes you open this door, you may need to consider whether or not you can really do another things, another monitor, another window. So thank you so much. And if you have any question, I would love to answer, and you can also put it in the Q&A. If I see that, I can also answer after. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shang, for your insightful presentation. I will urge our participants to write their questions on their Q&A chat. One last presentation in today's session. So I'm going to move forward and introduce our second speaker for this session, who is Professor Kyung-Won Siu, an interdisciplinary researcher and assistant professor in the Department of Applied Artificial Intelligence at Seoul National University of Science and Technology. Professor Siu's work is at the intersection of human-computer interaction, AI, and cognitive psychology, with the focus on how AI can be designed to enhance human capabilities. He has collaborated with industry giants such as Microsoft and Hyundai Motor Company, and is currently leading projects to advance the use of AI in education in South Korea. Professor Siu's presentation, Augmented Teachers, How AI Empowers Educators for Personalized Learning, will provide us with insights into how AI can augment the role of teachers by enabling experiences. His research on human-centered AI offers a fresh perspective on how AI can not only assist, but also empower educators to deliver more tailored and impactful learning. Let's now welcome Professor Siu to share his knowledge and expertise.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. So it's my great honor to have an opportunity to participate in this seminar, and I'd like to congratulate huge success with more than 1.3K participants. My name is Kyung-Won Seo. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Applied AI, Seoul National University of Science and Technology in South Korea. Today, my presentation topic is Augmented Teachers, how AI empowers educators for personalized learning. My major background is engineering, the computer science and AI. So currently I'm the director of Human-Centered AI Lab, aka Seoul-Tech High Lab. In here, I research human-centered AI technologies for various domains like medicine, industry, and education. My major interest is how I can build AI technology which can understand human and also augment their capabilities in their domain. And in this context, my main interest about AI for education is how I can build AI technologies which can understand both teachers and students, and how this technology can help both of them to augment their learning experiences. So before I start, I'd like to briefly mention about the South Korea's distinctive educational characteristics. Our first speaker actually already mentioned about South Korea's digital textbook project by using AI, but the launch of this project was based on this distinctive characteristics. So in South Korea, we have a huge achievement gaps between students. So when we look at the percentage of underperforming students, the gap is increasing after the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is one of the huge problems in Korea right now. And second unique characteristics is there's some educational inequality. I think most of developed countries experience very similar problems. But when you look at the monthly private education cost per person by income level, when their income level increases, their monthly private education cost significantly increase soever. So the more students can be benefited by using AI technologies for all. The last educational characteristic is teachers' huge workload. So in Korea, a lot of teachers have some various duties, like they have to assess students' capabilities and also record those capabilities for the university entry. So these kind of things make teachers have a lot of things to do, and this also degrade teachers' efforts and time for caring their own students. Based on these distinct characteristics, the Korean Ministry of Education decided to launch the Personalized Education for All project since 2022. When we look at this project, we can look at two main streams of the project. The first mainstream is the EduData platform. So to develop a great AI system, we need a lot of data. And thanks to the recent platforms, we can collect students' multimodal learning data, like their clickstream data or their image data, their text data, their video data, their audio data, and so on. We developed our own database platform to collect these kinds of multimodal education data from the students and teachers. We use these data to develop our own digital textbook platform called AI Digital Textbook. The goal of this AI Digital Textbook is to support teachers and students. So for teachers, the AI Digital Textbook can work as an AI assistant. So it can assist teachers' hassles, support teachers' curriculum, and teaching itself. Also, it can support students as an AI tutor for 24/7. So when students have questions, they can ask it to AI tutor whenever they want. By doing so, the grand goal of this AI digital textbook is to facilitate some kind of the personalized education between teacher and student. I conducted a research project with Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education about how we can facilitate AI-based personalized education services, and what we delivered was 5 types of AI-based services. So these 5 types can be divided by the service areas, whether for learning or for teaching. So for learning, the purpose is to help learning process of the students. The first type is intelligent tutoring system, which can help students Q&A sessions. The second one is the recommendation system, which support students to find their most suitable, well-matched learning materials or learning content. The third one is adaptive assessment system, which helps students to increase their learning levels by adaptively test their knowledge by using the AI-based recommended content. The fourth and fifth one is for the teaching area, but the goal is to support instructors' teaching process. The fourth one is AI dashboard. So the goal of this dashboard is analyze various students' data like login, logout, or learning behavior, log data, and grade data, and analyze them and visualize these information for the teachers. And the last one, the fifth one, is about the facial expression and emotional analysis system. Well, so like this Zoom setting, we can analyze the video data to understand the facial expression and emotion of the students. And by doing so, the teachers understand overall engagement of the students and how students are feeling about their learning style or learning content. More specifically, when you look at the intelligent tutoring system, it provides some personalized answers to students' questions based on the already collected answer data for questions in previous courses. I put some examples like a Mathway, Methia, and Alta here. And in South Korean situation, we are now developing some kind of the intelligent tutoring system for mathematics, English, and programming. So when students using AI digital textbooks, when they have questions, they can ask their questions to these intelligent tutoring systems about the mathematics, English, and programming. The second one is about the recommendation system, and this is very useful for self-exploratory students. When students use this system, it suggests some customized learning materials and strategies based on students' performance data and learning context analysis data. So let's put it this way. Some students might be more interested about image-based content, or some might be interested more about the video-based content, or some might be about the text materials. We analyze those students' learning styles and recommend some perfectly suited learning content for them with some kind of the learning strategies. So this was very helpful for students to conduct some kind of the self-regulated learning process by themselves by the help of the AI recommendation system. The third one is the adaptive assessment system. So this is very crucial for the goal-oriented learning. So if students want to get a good score about their learning content, this adaptive assessment system can be very helpful. When they study mathematics, especially, their goal is to solve the problem, and they want to solve as many problems as possible. But sometimes the challenge problem makes them very hard and frustrated, so make them quit the learning process itself. In this case, this adaptive assessment system can be very helpful to provide some real-time questions tailored to each student's knowledge level. So in Korea, we use lots of this kind of systems. For example, Ice Cream Home Run, Kwanda, and Read. All of them are specialized for mathematics learning and English learning. Now we are moving on to the teaching support systems. The fourth one is about the AI dashboard. So it provides learning analysis to instructors based on student log data. Actually, this is very helpful during the COVID-19 pandemic. So when we operate our courses for a recorded video or Zoom session, students sometimes gaming the system. So we upload the 25 minutes videos, and some students watch it for 3 hours. Some teachers might lost the track of this data, but AI dashboard can help teachers to understand the reasoning behind of these log data. So maybe the system can recommend that this student might not be engaged in the learning content itself, but he just turns on the videos and do something else. So maybe teachers need to check those students. The last one is about the facial expression and emotion analysis system. So this was very helpful for proctoring purposes or student engagement check. Specifically, Minerva University used this kind of system very well to check students' engagement and attention level during the class. So the system evaluates how much students talk in class and how much they focus on the class using the talk time and window focus data. Teachers can check the students' engagement parameters using this system, and if some students show less engagement compared to the others, the teachers can support these students to engage more on their courses. So these kind of 5 representative systems can be really helpful to facilitate AI digital textbook in Korea. So right now, we still didn't launch this AI digital textbooks, but it's still developing, and our goal is to launch this system next year. So what is the classroom of the future? Before we move on to the exact phase of the classroom of the future, I'd like to mention the end of the 2022. So at the end of the 2022, the ChatGPT launched, and a lot of educators were shocked. In particular, a lot of US educators were shocked because students do a lot of plagiarism or use it in a very odd way to gaming the educational systems or make ChatGPT to do their homework or assignment. So at first, a a lot of schools banned the use of ChatGPT, but after half a year passed, the educators decided to reopen the ChatGPT's use in the school because the MIT Technology Review shows that ChatGPT is going to change the education, not destroy it. The gist is, actually, a lot of generative AI can be very helpful for students and teachers because of its potential. But in order to do so, we need to think about the human-AI complementarity. A lot of teachers are actually afraid about the replacement of their job because of the AI. But after about 2 years of research using generative AI and AI digital textbooks, what we found in South Korea is the specialty of AI and teachers are quite different. What AI can do is about more objective things. It can analyze various multimodal students' data and can conduct student diagnosis. It can only catch some problematic students or early starting students. And also it can assess students' learning habits. So if some students have a very bad habit about the self-regulated learning, teachers can more easily understand these traits and support those students. Also, AI can very good at visualize something. So learning information can be visualized using AI through the dashboard, and also AI can analyze some personal characteristics of students. Before the era of AI, in order to understand each student's characteristics, teachers need a lot of time and effort. But thanks to the AI, now AI can do these jobs for teachers, and teachers just need to check how students are doing and their characteristics. Also, AI is very good at provide some classroom information. Then now let's look at the teacher side. What are teachers good at? So teachers are very, very good at customized supports for each student. So AI is very good at objective quantifications or datafication, but teachers are real actors. One of the big problem of the AI-based recommendation is actually, even though AI recommends something, sometimes students doesn't follow it. So recommendation and doing is totally split concept. So in order to make students to do their job based on the AI's recommendation, the teacher's role is the utmost important. Teacher need to provide some kind of the motivation for students. In this context, student-instructor interaction is getting increased. It's very interesting phenomenon recently. Also, teacher is very good at emotional and social interaction. One of the big issue in recent South Korea AI digital textbook project is about the social-emotional learning. So although AI is very efficient and effective about teaching some knowledge, helping students 24/7, providing some kind of the social-emotional learning content for students is totally different thing. And in order to do so, we need a lot of inputs from the teachers. Teachers are critical for classroom management and also for students' creativity and critical thinking. The teacher's role is very important. I'll briefly mention about the role of teachers about creativity and critical thinking at the end of my slide. So what is the classroom of the future we expect? Well, we expect human teacher's role and AI's role should be complementary with each other. So human teacher's role will be more focused about the social, emotional connection with students. So students need more motivation, social input, emotional input, and care from teachers. Then what is AI's role? AI will do a lot of repetitive administrative tasks and hassles for teachers. So for me, as an AI designer and engineer, I always think about how I can develop human-centered AI, which can support teachers' role more effectively. And by doing so, what I vision is augmented teachers, the teacher who augmented through the human-AI complementarity. My recent paper I conducted this research with teachers and engineers. So we had a discussion and some interview session with the teachers and engineers to discuss about the future of the augmented teachers. So I distilled the K-12 teachers' needs for AI's complementary role for the students' personalized learning. When we look at the roles of traditional teachers, their role is more focused about the curriculum development, teaching and facilitation, the guidance, and classroom and school management. So based on the foundation of these roles of traditional teachers, the augmented teacher's role complemented by AI can be summarized as follows. The first one is personalized curriculum design and development of instructional materials. So by using generative AI, we can more easily personalize curriculum and materials for each student. And when we look at teaching and facilitation, AI can support foundational learning support and student self-reflection support and student evaluation more easily and effectively. So teacher doesn't need to think about it thoroughly, but AI can complement teacher's job. About the guidance, AI can provide more information-based career guidance, and for the classroom and school management, AI also supplement teachers' job about student management and administrative task support. So it looks very visionary and looks very good, but my last presentation is about the cautionary note. So I conducted multinational study, international study with Korea, Israel, Canada, and US, and we've explored the impact of AI on learner-instructor interaction in online learning. What we found very interesting was student responses on AI in education. At first, students were very satisfied about the AI input and AI services, but there was a stark difference between some students. Some students felt AI as a helicopter parenting, so they were a little bit frustrated about AI's constant recommendation. Also, some students worry about AI seemed to block their creativity. So some self-regulated students were not happy about being dependent about the AI, or their creativity was blocked because of the AI. So although this future of AI seems very visionary, we always need to think about teachers and also students. So thanks for your attention, and this is all for my presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And again, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Professor CEO, on showing us so many useful tools and how we as educators can use them in our classrooms when we are trying to integrate AI. Also, now that we have approached the end of our session for today, I'm going to open the floor for some Q&A questions. And I have a couple of them here that I will leave to both of our panelists of the second session, Dr. Mega and Professor CEO. And one of the questions that was raised by one of the participants, I think even more than one, was about how to do this integration, how the educators can do this integration of AI in their classrooms when we are speaking about underaged users, in this case, underage students. I perhaps will ask Professor Dr. Mega to start with these comments on the underage of most of these users.
Yeah.
Dr. Mega, you are muted. Yes.
Yeah, so basically, just like what I discussed with some other colleagues and participants, so earlier actually some of the teachers do tell us that using AI related tools in the class in younger people, actually they think, they feel it is better. Why? I say, what? Why? Don't you think that it will make people rely on the technology, just like some of the participants also wonder? Basically, they say that because young children, actually they are pure. They are just like a blank of paper. They are considering AI technology, especially chatbots. They are very, very good, and they have a virtual friend, just like when we are young. We have some fairy friends in our mind. We talk to a puppet and something like that. So they are engaging to learn with the AI technology. While students, they are getting older, like the high school students or university students, they are take advantage from AI system just to try to pass the course, just to try to get the highest goal. So that is why actually I am not bothering with using AI technology in younger children. However, I wanted to remind everyone that you are not using AI technology in the classroom, right? Because you are still there. So you should consider to use AI technology at home or out of school or out of class. And when they come back to classroom, you plan the activities to verify whether or not they really learn. So that is from mine. Sorry about that.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Sheng. I will open the floor for Professor Seo.
Yeah, so thanks for an interesting questions. So young students, they are more open to digital technologies. They are digital native, so they are more familiar with using AI tools compared to me and us, I guess. But I think one lucky thing is we are people who experience both analog and digital, and this gives us the power about criticizing the generated content from the AI. I think one thing we should be cautious about the AI is its hallucination, and we need to build our AI literacy and some criticism about the AI generated content. Unfortunately, young generations are very, very good at using AI, but sometimes they are a little bit too familiar with and very easily persuaded by AI generated content. So in this context, I think it is really important to also conduct some AI invariant education without using some kind of AI technologies to help them to improve their AI literacy and some critical thinking skills about AI.
Thank you so much for both of your comments. And now we move on to your last comment before I close the session today. So some of the participants were also mentioning that they would like, as professionals, as educators, to learn more about how to use these AI tools. So I would invite you, before we leave today, to provide your guidance or your advice on how an educator that is not very familiarized with the AI tools, which are so recent for us, what should the first steps be? What should they do to start engaging with this type of technology with the purpose of integrating them in the curriculum and the classroom? And then I can start now with Professor Seo.
Thank you for a great question again. So yeah, it is very important. Starting point, what kind of tool I should use? Everyone asks in South Korea too, but my answer is there's no golden rule. So sorry for my answer, sorry for my indirect answer, but my answer is please experience as many tools as possible at first. And my cautionary note is AI is just a tool for you. So AI is not some golden grail. It is just a tool. So you need to use it. And in order to do so, you should more focus on your teaching strategies or student learning strategies, not AI tool itself. And after that, when you use a lot of tools, maybe you can ideate some ideas about, oh, maybe I can use this tool to this kind of teaching strategies. And I think that's a very good starting point. And then if you participate lots of seminars from the RCP and other seminars, I think that would be also valuable. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Shang?
Yeah, I cannot agree more. So basically, I think the first one is attending seminars or show lectures like this one organized by the center. Of course, unfortunately, right now you don't have a chance to attend my talk about how to what is the basic about the generative AI, what the concept is. But you do be able to search similar lectures online, which can give you a basic idea. So in that case, you know what they can do, what they cannot do, and then you can try to practice to use one of them. And for example, some people, they ask about prompt engineering. If you Google prompt engineering course, then you can find many free courses online to teach you how to do that. So you can consider to Google course keywords plus an AI tool, and then you will be surprised to see many free resources.
Thank you so much to both of you, and thank you so much to over 1,300 participants that we had today. It was an amazing session. Before I leave, I would like to share with everyone that the presentations from our speakers today will be available at the RCEP website. So if you want to have access to the presentations, please visit the rcepunesco.ae website. And I would like to thank everyone for the active participation and insightful contributions throughout today's seminar on the implementation of AI products in K-12 classrooms, analyzing the impact on students and educators. It has been a really rich and engaging day, and I believe that we have touched on some of the most critical aspects of integrating AI into K-12 education. We have heard from some of the leading voices in the field about the ethical considerations, the impact on learning outcomes, and how AI can empower educators and enhance personalized learning. It's clear from communities for innovation in education, it also comes with some own set of challenges, such as ensuring equity, fostering teacher competences, and maintaining a human-centered approach. As we move forward, I encourage all of us, policymakers, educators, school leaders, researchers, caregivers, to keep the dialogue open and continue to collaborate on how best to implement AI in ways that truly benefit both students and educators. The future of education will undoubtedly be shaped by how we choose to integrate these technologies, and it's our collective responsibility to ensure that AI enhances rather than detracts from the educational experience. Thank you again to our esteemed speakers for their valuable insights, and to all of you for your thoughtful, have sparked new ideas and strategies that you can take back to your own institutions and apply in practical ways. With that, I wish you all a great rest of the day and look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. Thank you so much to all of you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Mahra.